The night was cold, the kind that bit through your clothes and settled into your bones. The old train yard in Scranton, Pennsylvania, was silent except for the occasional groan of metal settling under the weight of time. The rail cars stood like forgotten ghosts in the moonlight, some rusting, others boarded up, their once proud exteriors now a patchwork of decay. Among them was car number 93, an old passenger rail car that had been locked away for years. No one dared to enter, not even the station workers. Some said it was unstable, a safety hazard. Others, the ones who whispered in hushed voices, claimed it was something else entirely, a place where the dead never left. Ben had never been one to believe in ghost stories. He was a historian, a man of facts, not fear. But tonight, standing outside the locked rail car with nothing but a flashlight and his own breath clouding in the cold air, he felt something shift in his gut. "Come on, man. It's just a train car," his friend, Mike, called from behind. "You said you wanted to document this place, right? What better way than spending the night inside the haunted car?" Ben exhaled. He had agreed to this. It was just a local legend. The story went that decades ago, a conductor named Thomas Grayson had died aboard this very train while it was still in service. Some said he had suffered a heart attack mid-route. Others claimed he had been pushed. Either way, his presence had never truly left. "Fine," Ben muttered, pushing the door open with a creak. "Let's see what's so scary." Inside, the rail car was eerily preserved. Rows of empty seats lined both sides, their cracked leather still clinging to the ghosts of past passengers. A dim light flickered at the far end, though the car had no power supply. As Ben and Mike stepped further in, the air changed. It wasn't just cold, it was wrong. The kind of cold that wasn't natural, that settled in your chest and refused to let go. Ben pulled out his recorder. "Okay, we're inside car number 93. This place was last used in the 1950s. According to records, Thomas Grayson, a soft tap, tap, tap echoed through the car. They both froze. Did you hear that?" Mike whispered. Ben nodded, scanning the darkness. "Probably just an old pipe shifting," he said, more to convince himself than anything. Then the lights flickered. And the taps turned into footsteps, slow, measured. Coming toward them, Ben swung his flashlight toward the end of the car. The beam wavered, cutting through the thick, stale air. And then, he saw it, a shadow. Not a trick of the light, not a reflection. A man, tall and stiff, dressed in what looked like an old-fashioned conductor's uniform. His cap was tilted downward, obscuring his face. Mike gasped, stumbling back. "Ben, we need to go." Now, Ben's heart pounded in his chest, but he was rooted to the spot. "Sir," he asked, his voice barely a whisper. The figure didn't move, and then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, it vanished. The temperature dropped further. Ben's breath came out in thick, visible clouds. And then, a voice, soft, cracked. "Ancient, you shouldn't be here." Mike was already halfway to the door. "Ben, I swear to God, move," but Ben couldn't. He felt something, a hand on his shoulder. Ice spread through his skin, and in the reflection of the train's window, he saw it clearly. A pale, gaunt face. Eyes hollow, mouth slightly open as if caught in an eternal whisper. "Thomas Grayson." Ben gasped and stumbled forward, the hand releasing him. The lights flickered wildly, and the sound of train wheels screeching filled the air. Even though the car hadn't moved in decades, he didn't need another warning. He ran. The moment Ben and Mike tumbled out of the rail car, the door slammed shut behind them. The sound echoed through the train yard, and then, silence. They ran without looking back. The next morning, Ben reviewed his recordings. Most of it was static, but then, at the very end, just before they had fled, a faint voice whispered, "Next time, you won't leave." Ben never went back. And car number 93, it still sits in the train yard, waiting.